Hi there, my beautiful souls. So, you think you're awake now. Now what? Let's talk a bit about this subject. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Not only out there in the world, but within each one of us. And let's do some discernment here. Awakening, or being awake, whatever you want to call it, has many different stages, in case you're not aware of it. The first stage is when you allow yourself to finally start to realize that things are not really as they seem or as you thought most of your life. But that doesn't really mean you're awake. It only means that you're starting to perceive things from that gut feeling, new perspective that you are having because of your own energetic state changing somehow due to something, whatever that may be, whatever the catalyst was. And look, people like to throw this terminology out there like it's out of style. But this goes way deeper than most people think or realize. When you're sleeping, like literally sleeping in your bed, and then you wake up, the first, few minutes of you being awake after you come out of that alpha wave state, you're still sort of like floating in there in your subconscious mind. So you can use that analogy to the same way when you're starting to see things differently. And this is how the whole awakening process works and begins to unfold itself within you. So just because you're starting to realize that there's a lot of, you know, energy forces at play here when it comes down to everything you ever knew, everything you ever believed, everything you thought was what it was, whatever it is. That's just the beginning. Keep that in mind. There are so many things that need to be done after that. And the biggest problem is that most people, they stay in that stage sometimes forever, and they're telling themselves that they're awake. Like, really? You're disrespecting yourself. You're not doing it yourself any favors either. You have a long ways to go. And don't take this personal, or do. I don't really care. Okay? I'm just here to remind you that there is a lot more to the process than you may think or realize. Just because you're starting to figure certain things out right now doesn't mean you know everything. You're never going to know everything. The learning process is almost never ending when it comes down to real knowledge, real self-understanding, really knowing how the universe works. Why do you think we keep coming back down here? Because we want to keep learning and understand things better. But then we are born and we are molded in such a way that it's really hard for us to come out of that fake state and take the mask off to understand what's really necessary to be done and the sacrifices that must be made. And make no mistake about it, you will need to make sacrifices, or what you would perceive as a sacrifice from an ego viewpoint, perhaps, if that's what you want to call it. So just because you're starting to put the pieces together now and you see things a different way, or you're like, something is not right here, something is off. Yeah, well, that doesn't mean you're awake. It means you're starting the process of becoming awake. So just understand that. This is a long process. There's a lot of things that we need to do within us to keep going in the right direction and to keep improving ourselves, bettering ourselves, and keep growing and evolving on a daily basis. And like I said, I'm not here to judge, okay? This is not the point of the video. And if it's sounding or coming across like I feel that I'm better than you, that's not it either. Then you're not getting the point. You're completely misunderstanding. So you need to reflect on it. Reflect, use a discernment, and then allow silence and stillness to speak for itself. And then, and only then, you will understand what I'm talking about here. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. But yes, it all starts with that way. But you don't need to go out there, telling others that you're awake or calling other people sheep. I see that all the time. And people who are doing these things and saying these things, they are still in a deep state of slumber, and they don't even realize. That's not how it works, guys. We're all part of the same thing. We're all connected, whether you like it or not, whether you see it or not. This flow of consciousness field that exists out there, that everything is a part of, including this environment that I'm in here right now. There are so many of us here. And here's the thing. Obviously, not all of us are going to be at the same stage of development. That is going to be a given. Any day. But that doesn't give you the right to feel like you can judge other people because you think that you're better than them. Because if you're still thinking like that, you got a lot of work to do. I'm just saying. And if that triggered you, that's a sign. That's how you know. Look, we all go through that stage, okay? I've been there myself. I know how it is. That's why I'm talking about this. But that's super early on. That happens at the very beginning. Just don't allow yourself to stay stuck in that stage because it happens to most people. And they never go past beyond that point. And when you're doing that to yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because you're not helping the cause here. We need numbers to change things, folks. We need numbers. Big numbers. That doesn't mean small numbers won't make a difference. But it's gonna take so much longer. So the more people we get on the same boat, doing what needs to be done, to see big changes, big shifts happening. You know how you have those shifts, those personal shifts yourself in your own personal journey, in your own personal life? That's what I'm talking about. I want to see that kind of shift happening globally. And these things will not happen if we're not all on the same page here, working together, not only with each other, but for the benefit of mankind. And look, I understand that this, there won't be the whole world like that. It's just not feasible. Because there are many souls here right now that are so immature still and have so much to learn and to grow that would be unrealistic. But they're them and you're you. And that's the other thing. Sometimes we have to leave things behind, leave people behind. Even if it means it's gonna make you feel uncomfortable or maybe sad, something like that. Whatever it is. But you know that you can't stay in a certain place or continue to be related to certain things, circumstances, people, environments. When you've outgrown that by so much that you're only now, dampening your own ability to grow out of those scenarios, circumstances, people, whatever the case may be. So when you reach that point, you gotta go. Because if you don't, it's not going to feel that good. Trust me. When you reach that point, you will know because you will feel it, you will acknowledge, and then you're going to take whatever steps necessary to move away and move on. That's all you got to do. So, like I said, don't stay stuck in that spot of judging other people or thinking that you're better than other people. Because everybody's got their own journey here. And let me make one thing clear here, okay? You cannot walk other people's journeys for them. That is their job. That's not your job. Your job is to take care of yourself, work on yourself, love yourself, prioritize your life above everything else. And I've spoken about this in prior videos many times. This is not about narcissism. Understand that. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that if you don't focus on yourself first, none of the things that you want in your life, none of the things that you want to achieve are going to come your way the way you want it. Because you want the things that align with you to come to you, don't you? And in order for that to happen, you have to love yourself unconditionally. And you have to always prioritize yourself first, and then everything after that. And that's how the process of life works in this universe. I remember reading this story once. No, I wasn't reading actually. I was watching this story about this ascended master in the East somewhere. I don't recall what country if it was Japan, Tibet. It doesn't really matter, where it was. What matters was this guy. He was having his own journey, right? And at some point, he's in the upper plains under some deep meditation, and he comes across his other half, so to speak. And she's over there, and then she's telling him that she's been waiting for him. And he basically told her that she needs to go her own way so he can go his own way, because that's what would be best for both of them in their own journey for spiritual growth. And you may perceive something like that as selfish, but he obviously have reached the stage, spiritually speaking, when he knew what was best for him, and he knew that at that point he had outgrown this need for codependency, and that he knew that at that stage of his spiritual development, he needed to go on alone and by himself. So he understood at that point that they needed to detach from one another, and he needed to let go. And that right there, my friends, whether you understand it or not, or you agree or not, that's real love. That's real love. When you really love someone, you want what's best for them. He understood that what was best for her and for him was that she went her own way at that point and he went his own way. And that may be hard for some people to grasp and understand, but if you had reached that point of your journey, spiritually speaking, you would understand what it means and why he did what he did. We're all going to probably get to that point one day. Doesn't matter if it's going to be in this life or the next or the next or the next 20 lives, whatever. If you're doing things right, eventually that's going to be something that's going to be necessary. And that's really it. Right? So this is really all I wanted to talk about when it comes down to the awakening part of things and all of that. And with all of that said, I love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful day, because I am, as you can see. And I'm going to take some time here now to stretch my legs and walk and spend some more time out here. And I will catch you all on the next one. I'll talk to you later, my friends. Bye.